letting people get on the call, and we have some really great panelists for you guys today. It's great to see everybody back. Maurizio, the floor to you.
Thank you, Jeremy. Good morning, everyone. Good morning to our friends in America, and buon pomeriggio agli amici in Italia. For those who don't know me, my name is Maurizio Gambarucci. I am Deputy Director of the Italy America Chamber of Commerce South Central. We're active in Texas, Arkansas, Oklahoma, and Louisiana. I'd like to welcome everybody to our 8th episode of our webinar series, Challenges and Opportunities in the Post-Pandemic Era. Well, since the pandemic started almost a year ago, we all have spent a significant amount of time on conference calls like this one via Zoom or other platforms. More time than we have ever expected or spent before. I personally learned a lot how this new habit can actually make my professional life surprisingly easier and more efficient than before. I have everyday structured schedule, calls back to back, and also strategic breaks in between. The good thing is that can happen from everywhere, no matter where you are. So at Italy America Chamber of Commerce of Texas, South Central, we also learned something else. We realized how this new system of communication can actually increase the chances of meeting new business partners, reinforce existing relationships, and also close some good deals for us, for our members, our partners, and clients. In about a month, we'll be hosting the second virtual edition of our trade show, Taste of Italy Reimagined. So we picked today's topic, how to run a successful virtual tasting, trying to grab insights from our panelists and see how we can make the upcoming March edition even more successful than the one in September. Let me thank and welcome to the virtual lecture our special guest today, Flavio Geretto. Hello, Flavio, thank you.
Hello, hello, Maurizio.
International Export Director at Villa Sandi, grape Prosecco producers in Italy. Kevin Day, thank you, Kevin, again.
Buongiorno.
Author and wine educator based in Denver, Colorado. Do not forget to check his great blog, actually, openingabattle.com. And last but not least, our friend, member, returning speaker, Cecilia Ercolino out of New Jersey, founder and CEO of the Italian Products and Beyond. I'm finally grateful to our friend, Jeremy Parzen, for being our moderator and inspirator today too, as he has been since the first episode of the journey. The recording of the webinar will be available on our website shortly, and we are also already live on Facebook. If you have any questions or comments, please use the Q&A option at the bottom of the screen, which is already available and open to you. Without any further ado, I'll leave the floor to Jeremy. Enjoy the conversation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Maurizio. And we also, it's great to be on the call this morning. And also thank you to Alessia Paliki, the director of the chamber. I'll remind everybody that the chamber is the #1 rated chamber in all of NAFTA, not just America, but all of NAFTA. And hey, I'm going to ask our panelists to mute themselves. Don't forget to mute yourselves, guys. And I think the chamber is #8 in the world. So I'm sorry, New York. I'm sorry, Chicago, but we're #1 on top of the heap. No, it's great to be here, guys. And wow, we're here to talk about virtual food and wine events. We have some awesome speakers today. Maurizio was saying how, you know, this is there's no upshot to no upside to the pandemic, but the virtual world has been open to us. I mean, I literally got off a virtual call at 9:30 last night, went to bed, and I'm on a virtual call again this morning. And it's just part of our lives now. What we wanted to talk about today is that, you know, now that we're how many months into this, almost a year, you know, 10 months into this new normal, how do you run a successful virtual event? And we've seen, there's all, you know, we all learn this new idiom, right, of what it is to do a virtual event. There's all kinds of technical issues. I'm really looking forward to Flavio talking about some of the technical issues of tasting wine. Flavio, again, is the expert director for top producer of Prosecco. Wait till you hear his story. Amazing. Cecilia is another one of our top, and you guys know her from previous webinars, one of the top food and wine professionals focused on Italy, working in the United States today. One of, just one of those great professionals that we're so glad to have back. And she's going to talk to us about, doing sales meetings on virtual, what works, what doesn't work. But we're going to start today with my friend Kevin Day, who I'm so glad Kevin was able to be on this call. For those of you who are watching from Italy, Kevin has become, in just a couple of years, really, one of the top Italian wine bloggers. He occasionally writes about French wine, but nobody's perfect. But he has really emerged as one of the top nationally renowned Italian focused food and wine bloggers, also wine educator. And we asked Kevin to join today because Kevin has really been a pioneer in running online consumer tasting. So we're going to start with Kevin. And I just have to give a personal shout out to Kevin. I'm a big fan of his blog. I'm a big fan of his social media. He has this focus on mountain vigneron, Vignaioli, he's in Denver, Colorado. Again, we're getting to join with him because we're in the virtual world. In another, in the real world, we wouldn't be able to do this, right? So I'll give the floor to Kevin. Tell us, Kevin, about how you sell out. I mean, how many have you done now? 5 or 6 seminars, and they're sold out you're selling tickets to these.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about how you got there? What were some of the technical pitfalls? What have you learned? What's the learning curve on this? Because everybody's been new to this. You're one of the top people doing this today. Tell us your story.
Well, thanks. And thank you all for having me. So opening a bottle I'm kind of ambitious with it because I want it to be one of the more visual wine websites, period, out there. I want it to be a full-fledged wine publication with contributors. And the thing is that I know Italian wine and I know French wine, as I know you guys were commenting, but I don't know much beyond that. Like I can't keep track of what's in my own backyard with California wines, Oregon wines, nor do I have the interest to do that. So it limits the potential of this website to be a moneymaker. And so I've been trying to find ways because of the amount of effort I put into it, I can't just do it for free. I have to be able to generate revenue and pay for the hosting, pay for my travels, pay for the wine, and certainly pay for my bills. So I've always been trying to find ways to monetize this website, and ad sales have just been really not interesting. They've just, I don't like what it does to the site's aesthetic. So about 1.5 years ago, I came up kind of with the whole thing of I need to do events. I need to be a part of events. I need to do wine tastings, but there's a logistical hurdle in doing that when you're a solo practitioner who doesn't have a liquor license or who doesn't have the ability to sell wine. So I started doing in-person events in my neighborhood to kind of test the waters, and then the pandemic hit. And what I quickly realized is that by going with virtual tastings, I can sell tickets to anyone in the United States for the most part, just because of time zone reasons. I can sell tickets through Eventbrite, and by getting a ticket, somebody can then get a Zoom link and join me at a specific time. And then I just run a very visual, engrossing presentation on my computer about a particular category of wine. So we started in September with Nebbiolo. And as Jeremy noted, I have I'm partial to mountain viticulture. I find heroic viticulture to just be so interesting and fascinating, and how much toil is involved in making these wines. And I wanted to convey that to people. And so Nebbiolo is a great way to do that because people know Barolo and Barbaresco, but Valtellina, some of the wines that are made in like Carema, I wanted to talk about that too. And so being able to buy the photography that I hadn't shot of those places, put them in a presentation that was visually engrossing. I'm also fortunate that my wife is a very talented graphic designer. So she's able to do maps that are really nice of Italy. And that's a key thing, is to show where you are in Italy, because as you all know, it's very different, all these different little parts. And that really captures people's imagination. And so after that first tasting, I promptly saw 4 people who were in that tasting sign up for the next one, which was on Valpolicella. I won't say what I did in November because it was French and it doesn't matter. And then in December, I did Prosecco. And then this month, January, I just did one on Sicily, which sold out. And Sicily was outstanding. The Sicily tasting was great because people really had their eyes open to what the potential of Sicilian wine is. These are consumers, So they're not as, you know, well-versed in what Frappato is or Nero d'Avola or what happens when you blend them. They don't know much about Mount Etna and its history and really how it's seen in fine wine circles. And people were just really enthusiastic about that. So the one thing I want to add too is opening a bottle. The reason it's called that is because that's always something I thought was really special about wine, is that people share this drink, right? You look at other alcoholic beverages, beer, you know, mixed drinks, cocktails, people are having their own individual drink, you know, but wine is something you open this bottle and you pour it and you share it together. And that's something that I've always liked and embraced with wine culture. And these events really are a nice extension of that, because I'm opening bottles with people around the country and we're all having an exchange and having discussion about these wines while learning about it. So it's been kind of on brand for me to kind of shift gears and do virtual tastings. And
Kevin, I'm going to jump in. You said, and again, thanks so much for being here. You said something so important. And first of all, I want to point out, have you ever seen anybody who has as good of lighting as Kevin does? Your lighting is like CNN quality, you know, and there's so much to be. I love what you said about
Colorado sun coming through the window.
Well, your lighting is great. Your backdrop is great. You know, we all know the Twitter feeds where people are rating people's, I get people all the time saying, what's in your bookshelf? I do. I get people after an event. And lighting, I love what your attention to, you know, photography, your wife being a designer, so important to give, you know, just the lighting alone is such an important part to running a successful wine event. And we're going to come back to you, Kevin, and we want to know more about the magic dust that you're holding back with the secrets. We want to know more about how you do that. Let's shift over to Cecilia. Now, Cecilia, we asked you to come on board for this webinar, and thanks again. If you don't know Italian products and beyond, check out the link in the blast we've been doing. Such an amazing, growing company. We asked Cecilia to join because we want to talk about, look, you're doing sales calls. People are pitching from Italy. You can't get to Italy right now. You can't get around the United States. Share some of your insights about what makes a successful sales. You know, people are pitching to you, right? And I think you're pitching to your clients as well. Can you tell us some of the technical aspects that you've encountered, and what are the do's and don'ts in your world of online, you know, interacting with clients, interacting with people you're buying products from?
First of all, it's a little bit important, great importance actually, to take a step back and see if you are a producer, if you are a vendor that wants to approach the US market right now. We are seeing a selection of companies that you really need to look out for. The pandemic has kind of done a natural sourcing of who is in and who is out. We're seeing that the customers who have flexibility, that can think outside of the box, that can come up with new solutions, new ways of doing business and not be afraid, those are the survivors. And there are many, many casualties of COVID, companies that we would not think that they would have any issues. They have financial strength, they have the possibility of growing, but they have not taken the step back, looking at the whole situation and see, what can I do to be strong, to be able to get through this COVID and strive instead of struggle? And I think that if you're going to put your effort into pursuing a new customer, you really need to see who is worth it. We see every day companies that try to work with us, and the way that they're doing it is in a multitude of different manners. We have the casual write an email to your website to a contact form with, I have a company of this way and that way. Those are not very strong ways of pursuing. Once you've done your selection, make a mark. We get, as an importer, or even as a retailer, as a distributor, we get a multitude of calls every week, every month from several different customers or vendors of all different sorts. Make your mark when you make that call or email. Why should we talk to you? What is good about you? What is different about you than all the other 50 that we got this week? I think that's one of the main things we really need to look at. And if you see, I have the worst lighting because I'm in an office that you've got samples on one side, samples on the other side, and we really don't have time to focus on the aesthetics. We need to focus on instead, what is the important part? What are special about your product? How can you convey that to us in a couple of different seconds? 1 second is when we open the email. Is there something that catches our attention? Most times, no. So what should you do? You have the opportunity of trying to make a call like we're just talking about, a call that could have you as a person, your company in it. And this is where you really need to take a look at, how do I present myself? And as we saw Kevin with his presentation, it's perfect. You have everything in front of you. You have everything with you that you need to have to grab our attention. So when you have that call finally with the customer that you want to talk to, one thing I always try to tell and remember, customers are like kids. We need your full attention. Make sure that you are in a place where you have no distractions, first of all. There is nothing worse than having somebody call that has a colleague walking by, that has a distraction from the other side, that has a coffee cup being brought out of the room. I don't feel special. And if I don't feel special on that first call that we have together, I'm pretty sure that we won't feel special in the terms of service we will get from you. So there is lots of important details that you really need to think about. But first, source your client, who's important enough to go after. Once you've found them, make sure that you dedicate all your time and attention to them.
Cecilia, you're always so great on these calls. There's so much to unpack in what you just said. And I'm also thinking about a call that Maurizio and I were on with Italy, and somebody took a cell phone call while we were on a Zoom call. And we just looked at each other like, why are we here? Let's move on. I loved what you said, make a mark, use this time when you get in front of somebody in a way that's going to make them feel like you're there for a reason. You also, we could do a whole nother webinar on the emails. I get so many emails, where they've written my name wrong, and that, you don't even get past the first line, and there's a PDF attached and it has a virus in it. And, we could do a whole, I see Flavio, and we're going to get to Flavio in a second. He has a lot of stuff to share too. Make those emails count. Don't waste anybody's time. Cecilia on all of our webinars brings home this point. The pandemic people are interested in trying new things. They're trying, we were talking to the finer points of olive oil cured tuna, or Kevin was talking on our pregame call. People we're talking about coffee and Italian coffees and blah, blah, blah. People are willing to try new things, but they don't want to waste their time there. And it's such an important point. And let's shift over. Thank you, Cecilia. We're going to get back to everybody. We're now going to shift to Flavio. And a little intro to Flavio. Again, he's the international export director for one of the top producers of Prosecco. Interesting story about Flavio, who's one of the wine professionals he's just, his energy in everything just always blows me away. And I've done some disclosure. I've done some work over the years with Flavio. I love working with their company. I love his energy, but he had just become the international export director. He had this great year. The owner of the company said, okay, you're number one. And then the pandemic came, and he's been handed the keys to the Ferrari, and you can only drive it in the parking lot. And Flavio made this shift that was amazing. And he, Asia is a huge market for his company. Flavio does we do virtual events where we have 100, we have 200 people. Flavio does virtual events where he literally has thousands of people on the calls. And he's really made that shift to talking to Cecilia's point. Flavio never wastes time. I mean, a call with Flavio is 15 seconds. This is what we're doing. That's how you make business in this world. So Flavio, tell us, I want to hear our guests, how did you organize these tastings, especially in Asia, where people love the virtual events? And can you tell us some about, your experience with that? And thank you for being here. Flavio, you're still muted. You need to unmute yourself, sir. There you go.
Okay, Jeremy, you know very well that my last trip from Italy outside was in US, and it was March 2020. And the last day we had a burger in Manhattan together. And it was my last flight before now. So you can imagine that was 1 year ago. And I remember that the pandemic situation was only in Italy. Everybody in US was looking to us Italian like, there is the virus, what about the situation? And I realized the problem when I made my last flight from Munich, Germany to Venice, Italy, and we were inside only 15 people. So I understood that something very dangerous was happening not only in Italy, but perhaps could involve all the situation. So as Jeremy told you, I have the responsibility of a very important business and started from November 2018. So I had to face this difficult situation, and but I am lucky because I have a fantastic team, and also we are very fast in changing. So, for example, we started 2 years ago. 2 blogs for our main brands, because Villa Sandi is a wine group owned by the Moretti Polegato family, that is one of the most important family in the wine business in Italy. And we started in 2018 2 blogs, one for Villa Sandi, that is also the brand of Prosecco and also still wines brand, but also La Gioiosa, that is another very important brand of Prosecco. We have 2 different importers in the States, and we started a blog for USA. But during that launch, I remember very well that me and Jeremy decided to convert this blog for USA for all over the world, and to make the target for our customers that we have all over the world, that are now we are selling in 111 countries. Okay, so it was important to change, and immediately we changed also the way to communicate. We inserted in the blog the videos that I personally did with our winemaker Stefano Gava, in which we present a 3 minutes video in which we present all the wines. And why we did that? Because we perceive that it will be not possible to travel, but to have this video would be an opportunity for our customer to forward the video to their own customers, to introduce the wines, or also to have a very quick refresh to what you need to have in order to describe the wine. Because people like Cecilia or like our importers and distributors, they have a very wide portfolio. So they can't remember every day and every time all the details about all the wines. So we needed to give, to assist them. Then after this, we started also the communication through the Zoom, Teams, and all the means that we normally use now every day. For example, personally, I do, I think, 5, 6 webinars every day. So it is crazy because I would like to travel again, because I like the computer, but I like better to see the people in front of me. Afterwards,
Flavio, let me jump in. You just said something so important. You said, how many Zoom calls do you do every day? 5, 6?
5, 6.
And that's, again, it's translating that energy. Again, Flavio traveled more than I traveled before the pandemic so much. And by the way, I just have to give a shout out to Kevin and Flavio. We did, with Kevin, I shared one of the last meals pre-pandemic in Denver. We had a great meal. And with Flavio, it was the last hamburger at one of our favorite hamburger places in Manhattan, right before everything. But I mean, Flavio, just by his sheer energy, is conquering the world. With, he is just on, let's do an event. What do you want to do? You want to do an event for 10 people? You want to do an event for 1,000 people? And he does with his Asia clients, he's on a call with 1,000 people. And it's just,
no, we in the call we had with Asia, we had 1,600,000 contacts.
See, I wasn't joking that half of China is watching.
No, no, yes, but the situation is that this happened in July, but from March we started to have a new strategy, because we could also understand the potential of this way of communication. Because in this way, it is a one-to-many communication sometimes. For example, you can introduce the winery to a distributor for example, we did for California, introduction to Southern Gladder. There were 200 people. And in the same time, I was with Stefano, with our president, introducing our wines. But it is something that it is not possible that happens in the physically, because they are traveling all over California, etc. So we need to find also what you can do, and we will continue to do also after the finish of this pandemic situation, because but there are many things. I don't want to be too long, but if you find the right way, this way of communication can be strategic. And the only thing is that
I want to let me give the floor to Kevin. Did you want to jump in? Did you have a?
Yeah, I was just thinking about the whole 5 to 6 Zoom meetings a day. I mean, that's a big barrier to entry for selling an event that's on Zoom, especially when it's on a Saturday night, which is when my tastings are. I pick Saturday night because that's when people are available, but like it's gotta be compelling to jump on Zoom again with your free time, you know? And so, I mean, so I completely agree with Flavio about how, you know, you really have to put some thought into, does it have a video component? I mean, you really need some production behind it, because otherwise it's gonna fall flat. And you have to convey your enthusiasm through it. And if you put a lot of effort into fine tuning your presentation in a way that really takes people there, that transports them there, they're going to feel your passion for it through the screen. I mean, that's our barrier to entry, is conveying your passion through a computer screen, right? That's a lot easier to do in person.
I'm going to bottle that. Conveying your passion through a computer screen. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah, and I mean, working with Italians, I mean, Italians are excellent at conveying their passion to you in person, right? I mean, that's what you guys are so wonderful at doing, and that's why you have me hooked. But for me, in terms of selling tickets to these events, like, people have to know that I'm going to convey that passion through here. And sometimes it takes spending some money on it. I mean, I brought up photography. When I only have so many photo resources for my own travels, I sometimes have to lean on getting stock images. And there are certain stock images that people have seen 1,000 times. Jeremy, I know you've probably seen the one with, you know, the grapes. They're probably not even wine grapes, but there's just these hands holding grapes. There's another one that's like, it's an arrow sign in front of a generic vineyard. And someone just basically took every European appellation and typed it onto the sign, you know, and then they changed the color scheme to match the flag of the country. You can't use that stuff in Zoom, because it's just, people have seen it and they'll tune out. I was actually on a virtual event yesterday from a major wine industry publication that I was invited to attend just to see, and it was so canned and so scripted that it had no value to me. It was like, okay, this feels like bought space. I don't have 5 minutes to watch an advertisement. This doesn't feel real and authentic. So you have to kind of think through those things when you're doing virtual events, I think, because it's, you'll have people bounce pretty quickly if it doesn't have that kind of sense.
And that's such a perfect segue into what, you know, I want to talk a little bit about my experience too. Just again, back to Flavio and what, to your point, Kevin, giving compelling media, you know, not stock image, you know, it makes such a huge difference. By the way, Flavio developed this program in Italy where you can call the winery, they will ship you a flight of wines, and then a person at the winery with an iPad in hand walks you through the wine. It's a really neat program. I mean, you literally, it's a one-on-one, you know, it's you and your significant other, or, you know, your household, let's call it that. And it's an amazing program. We could have done a show just about that, but let me, to everybody's point, you know, and this goes back to Cecilia too, saying, you know, make that time worthwhile, give that compelling, you know, nobody wants to watch, you know, you want to watch Flavio and his winemaker with a lot of energy and giving you great video and great content. You don't want to watch someone saying the winery was founded in 1738. And you don't want that. You want energy. You want we here in Houston, I run through the chamber actually the website and the social media for an Italian restaurant, Roma. And man, when the pandemic started, everybody knows that restaurants have been devastated in this period. So many restaurants we've lost. I'll never forget looking at the owner and saying, hey, I don't know how we're going to make, the restaurant just wasn't going to make it. And we ended up developing these virtual wine dinners. And what I realized, and this is the one nugget I want to share with everybody, I could talk an hour about this, but the one nugget I would like to share is that what we saw was people were doing wine dinners and they were treating it like it was what we call in the business a supplier rep meeting. They were saying the winery was founded in 1835 and the family and the blah, blah, blah. And that's not what was working. They were treating the consumers, and Kevin, you can speak to this too, like they were wine buyers or restaurateurs. It was boring. There was nothing compelling there. And what I realized was I took over the events and I said, let's go directly to the winemaker. Let's make sure the winemaker speaks English really well, or, has a proficiency that they can actually talk to the people. We had one guy who wanted an interpreter, and he started insulting the restaurateur in Italian, not knowing that I spoke Italian. And I mean, it was just a disaster. So we started going directly to the winemakers. And we now run these events with we had 75 people on our call last night. We talked to Stefano Chiarlo. And again, we went directly to the source, just like Flavio does with Stefano Gava, his winemaker, who's such a great, is also very photogenic and is a great presenter. And they do these videos, again, giving that compelling and back to what Cecilia said, don't waste my time. Give me something. And last night we had Stefano Chiarlo, the son of Michele Chiarlo. We had 75 people on a call who paid $119 plus tax and tip for a couple's dinner. And they keep coming back for more because we're giving them, to Kevin's point, directly to the passion, conveying that passion. It was a wonderful, wonderful, magical experience. I'd like to talk more about it, but we're running out of time. And Maurizio, do we have any questions from our viewers today?
As a matter of fact, we do. We have a couple.
Can you share one of those?
First one is from Robin Gisling. Hello, Robin. Thank you for being here today. It is a question for Kevin. She's a blogger as well, and she's trying to do a wine tasting for the clients locally. And she's asking Kevin exactly this. She is asking, how are you handling the sourcing of wines for your customers if your audience is national? Are your customer long-time blogger readers? Where are you getting new customers?
And hi, Robin. I know Robin too. Thanks for being here, Robin. She's I've known her from New York years. So great to have you here, Robin. Kevin, the floor to you.
This is my big logistical hurdle. I mean, it really is. I mean, and I don't have a silver bullet answer yet. In fact, right now I'm testing the waters with a retailer who can ship wine. But as you know, every state has its own liquor laws and shipping to different states. So I have to have, it's annoying because it's like, you can order from this as long as you're not living in one of these 18 states. So that partnership's a little troubling. It's not troubling, it's just, it's not going as smoothly as I'd like. The other thing with that is that in order for the wines to arrive in time, it takes like 10 days before my class. And my ticket sales are really big, like the 5 days before the event actually happens, when people actually know what they're doing that weekend and they can say, okay, we are free, let's do this event with Kevin. So the wine sourcing is tricky. What I do is I tap into what I know about Italian wine by creating a buyer's guide. And that's actually partly what they're paying for. So when they buy a ticket on Eventbrite, they will then get an email that links to a Google Doc that I've created just for this class that says, okay, we're doing Nebbiolo. We're going to be doing a side-by-side tasting on Longa Nebbiolo. Here are the producers that I like and why, if you can find them. Then we're going to move on to Valtellina and Alpine Nebbiolo. Here are the producers I like and why. Then we'll do Barolo and Barbaresco. Here are the producers I like and why. And that document has a lot of value, not just for them, but as it turns out for me, because one of my recurring customers is like, those buyer's guides have helped me so much. I'm drinking better wine now. Can I hire you as a seller consultant? And so now I've got this guy who lives on the other side of Denver who's got 820 wines in a cellar, and he wants them to be higher quality. And so he's hired me to do some consulting work with him to, you know, to beef up his collection of different categories of wine. So it creates an opportunity for me to, one, show my expertise, and also to just let the buyers, I think the way I kind of angle it is the consumer needs to figure out how to buy wine better for themselves. So what better way to do that than to go buy it themselves? But yeah, in terms of sourcing wines, there are some times where like there were a few tastings, like when, you know, I'm thinking of in particular, you know, the Prosecco tasting, actually, there were people who are like, I can't find Cartizze. I don't know where this wine is. You know, can you help me? And I have to make myself available.
Flavio can help you. Flavio can help you find Cartizze.
Right. But I mean, the way it works for them is they read the document, they go to their wine shop and they ask them and they don't have it. And so then they're like, well, do I drive around town? Do I have time to order it online? So there are some logistical hurdles, but I make myself available to people. I'm like, let me help you figure it all out. So as to the second part of the question, which is where do I find ticket holders? Eventbrite actually has been providing half of them. Like people will have it on the Eventbrite discovery platform. Some people are through Facebook. Some of them are through my email list. Some of them are readers. So it's a mixture of things, but you do have to hustle. I mean, you have to spend quite a bit of time marketing your event in order to be able to get a sellout. So
the whole, you know, it's time for the 3-tier system in America to be abolished. I'm sorry, I'm just radical.
Overdue.
Say it. We would be drinking better wine, you know, and I love, you know, to Robin's question and your solution, Kevin, it's making me think, you know, Eric Asimov, when he does his wine school thing, he says, these are the 3, kind of what you're doing. These are the 3 producers I'm presenting, but if you live, whatever market you're in, here are some producers that you can look for. And a great solution. Maurizio, do you want to throw another question our way?
Absolutely. This one is for Cecilia. They're asking, how can they get in front of you? To present their product? I would say sign in for a Taste of Italy. Cecilia is always one of our great buyers available to talk to Italian producers. Anything else you want to add, Cecilia, about this?
Well, I would say send an email that's really appealing.
Yeah.
Try to call, send a smoke signal, come up with a new way. Now, it's emails are always the best way, but again, we do receive a lot of emails every day. So make sure that it's something interesting, short to the point, not a 4-page letter to start. We'll want that later, but to start, we just want to know, why are you special?
Yeah. Cecilia, to your point, it's so important. And by the way, for a little chamber promotion here, for Taste of Italy this year, we're working with each one of the producers in helping them. You know, one of the biggest problems is they send out emails, they don't even know who they're sending it to. And when I open an email and I see it's a generic email, you know, even if you would just say, hey, Jeremy, I like that post you wrote, or I saw your, you know, something that showed me you actually looked at me and knew who you were talking to, is going to make me want to interact with you. And for Taste of Italy this year, which we're doing virtually, we're going to be doing exactly that with every producer. Say, hey, you need to know who the other person is on the other side of your call. We're really trying to develop that. And I love the point.
Something that's really, really important that I think all vendors need to know, whether big or small. There is so much competition. So in the end, how do we select a vendor to work with? One of our absolutely main points is the vendor, there needs to be a feeling. We need to see that the vendor can work well with us. We work so much time. Most of our day goes to working. So we need to make sure we have a good relationship with the people that we dedicate our time to during the day. So be approachable, be forthcoming, help, make sure that you do your part, because we're going to be doing our part to promote your products in this market. Make sure that you are on the other side and really can help as well.
No, it's so we could do a whole webinar just on how to write an email. I'm and for the class I'll be teaching hopefully later this year, if everything opens up, I'm going to give a seminar just on how to write an email.
You can title it, To Whom It Doesn't Concern.
Yeah, To Whom It Doesn't Concern. That should be the title. Great. That's why I love these webinars, is these ideas that we, I think we have time for one more question, Maurizio, maybe something, Flavio. What do you got for Flavio?
We have several actually for Flavio. Let me try to summarize all of this in a way. Also, I put something that comes from me. Flavio, I really appreciated the way you shared how the company adapted to the new reality. You said you started a dedicated blog for the USA, which I think is very interesting as an approach. We do short videos. And by the way, we also record a short video interview with Jeremy for our Taste of Italy exhibitor this time. And I like the fact that you said you're trying to make your importer and distributor lives easier with these videos and web. So my question is, and my question and other people in the audience question is there anything else you want to share with us, how you really make your virtual tasting and calls success than you even did before?
Yes, I think that you need to adapt the means that the technology gives to us in order to maximize what it is possible. And it depends also on the winery and on the people you have inside. For example, I am very lucky because we have a marketing department very active, but also very, our ERP manager is very good. We could put the Wi-Fi in all the winery, also in the underground cellar, in front of the villa also. So step by step, we could also organize live testing. So before the testing, we make a virtual visit live. It is not recorded. So if now we start, we have people from the villa, the vineyards, etc., in which you can live from the Zoom, how is a visit to Villa Sandi. And we can do the same also in all our wine estates that are, we have 6 wine estates, also one in Friuli, for example, and we did, for example, for our importer, all the way from with the trees to enter, the gate open, you enter inside the winery. So you can live the experience, but it depends on also on the target you have, because we do with our customer, we do with journalists, in which we need to focus in the quality of the wine. And so that is physical, for example, like Kevin is doing, but I agree with Kevin that he told my wife did something to design. We needed to remember that the eye is very important. So if you have this help, can be very, very important. If you have a professional, but you must focus on the product and what they can need. If you have a big audience, you need to involve them. And also, step by step, I also realized that now Zoom is something that people have every day. So if in March, April and June, it was something special, so also the journalists, the people, they were very open to take part. Now they have a lot of invitations. So you need to give them something very special in order to apply, to take part, and this. Also, there is another important point of view, that is the technological point of view. So if we speak with the US, Europe, we can use Zoom, but if you go in Asia, you need to have TikTok to do with WhatsApp. So you need to be prepared to the technology that you have. And also in some countries, English is okay. But if you go to Far East, English is not enough, because you have very few people speaking English, okay? And also if English is your language, you understand immediately, okay? But if I speak in English with Japan, China, or South Korea, I need to speak very slowly. So it is better to have a very small concept, but very clear. So it is better to repeat many times the same concept, because we don't understand if they can perceive the message, okay? So if I speak with the UK, with the US, and we can say mainly Europe, we can speak like now, because everything is clear to everybody. So this is something very, very important. And also, in my opinion, we can prepare people for what will be in the future. Because if I do a live testing, it is very important to prepare people to the hospitality that for us is, we have to 20,000 people visiting us every day, not in 2020, but we can make them curious to come, because the live visit is unique. Also, if I meet Jeremy, but I have a good relation with him because we met many years ago. But if I met him only with Zoom, our connection can't be the same. Okay, so we need to use technology, and we will use also in the future. But I think that we need a mix of this.
Flavio, this is great, and we are running out of time, and I know Maurizio needs to give us some closing words, but I just, you know, the thing that all four of us on this call talked about was know who you're talking. I love what you said, Flavio, that you change your messaging depending on the market because of English language skills or the interest level. Know who you're talking to and give them great content. I think that's what all of us said, from Cecilia to Kevin to Flavio. Know who you're talking to, give them great, compelling content. And again, guys, go on the virtual, you know, Italy's a country where Wi-Fi is optional, as we all know. Flavio, I love that you installed Wi-Fi everywhere in Italy on the ground, so that you literally can walk around with an iPad and say, and it's amazing what they're doing. You can do a one-on-one tasting where they'll ship you the wine. I think they're working on doing it in America.
Yes, but Jeremy, it is something that is important because, for example, also to support e-commerce. Okay, if people buy a bottle, they can book a virtual visit one-to-one. Yeah, so yeah. Also for this is okay.
Again, guys, I'm so proud that when we do these events, we really bring you the top people. And this, you know, Cecilia, Kevin, Flavio, you guys are all top in your field. Thank you so much for being part of this. I'm going to give the floor back to Maurizio because I know he has some closing remarks. By the way, guys, we're always open. You know, if you want to reach Flavio, if you want to reach Kevin, if you want to reach Cecilia, make sure you got something important to say. But we're happy to share their contact, and that's what we're here for. That's what the Chamber is here for, building community. Maurizio, I'll give you the floor for the closing remarks. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here.
Thank you, Jeremy. Thank you personally, to Flavio and Kevin. It was amazing. I couldn't stop writing notes on my computer about what you said. Little information for our audience. As we said, Taste of Italy is going to have a second virtual edition in March, 15 to 19. We're almost fully booked, actually. So if you really want to participate and have the chance to talk to Cecilia, just jump in by today, I would say. And I want to finish this incredible webinar by sharing a couple of notes that I took from each and every one of the speakers. From Kevin, I would say, I love the phrase, convey your passion through a computer screen. I think it's everything we all need to remember. From Cecilia, I would like to share something that I really love. She said, be ready with everything you need to impress your clients like you would impress a kid. I love that. Make them feel special. I really love that. And for Flavio, you really said so many impressive things about you guys are exploiting all the technology possibly available. But I like the fact that you said something, prepare the client to the visit in person. That is awesome for me as well. You're actually investing in the future already, going back to the past through the more modern tools. So thank you very much again for being here, Flavio, Cecilia, Kevin, and Jeremy, and all of our guests. Thank you. See you next time.
And Maria, I believe for Taste of Italy, we're going to have Kevin, Cecilia. You know, when we do Taste of Italy online, all three of them, we're hoping they're going to, if you guys will, if it's okay with you, we're going to have you back as panelists. So please, you know, tune in for Taste of Italy.
Count me in.
Great.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Maurizio. We'll see you guys soon. Be safe.
Thank you all very much.
Be safe and keep this great content. Bye-bye, guys.
Thank you. Bye-bye.